Okay, so this is a video for Threads of Memory. This is the drama element, which is the string map journey drama element. Before you do this activity, you should have sent a letter home to pupils' parents to get an idea of their family's journey. Now that could be a historical journey from the East End of London, then their grandparents moved to a certain flat or a different house. Maybe there was a job that changed the area from they lived in, and now they live here and they come to this school. Or it could be a geographical story. So for example, the family originated from France, they lived there with their grandparents, and then the family's dad got a job in London, working as an IT consultant, and they moved to London and now live at the school. Now to do each element of the story, each of those elements we've spoken about, there's a very particular thing you need to do to make sure these elements stand up in 3D. What you need is a piece of paper, A3 or A4. You need to fold it like this, down the middle, and basically everything you draw, everything you make that's going to go onto the string map, the top of the picture needs to touch the top fold here. It needs to touch across the top edge. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of how I'm making one element of the string journey. I'm going to think about how I could show France on this map, on this string journey map. So the simplest way to do it is a box with the word France. That's fine, it illustrates where it's from. You could also, of course, have a box with the French flag, or possibly this is a very, very rough drawing of the Eiffel Tower with some Parisian houses, maybe a car, some trees. You know, so pupils can kind of draw pictures if they want, or also if you want it to be slightly more sort of 3D, you can do a 3D shape, but again the top of it's got to touch this fold. So I'm going to attempt an Eiffel Tower. Okay. Now at the base of all of these different elements, no matter how you want to do it, if you want to keep it really simple like France, or if you want to do a picture or a 3D object, you need to have a big rectangle drawn underneath. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect, it can be wonky, it doesn't really matter, but it's got to be a big rectangle underneath each one. Okay, now to turn these into 3D objects, of course you can add colour, you can colour these in if you have time. This could be bubble writing, you can do all sorts of different things with this. But to turn it into a 3D shape, what you need to do, without unfolding it, so this is still folded over, you need to cut these like this. Like that. Then open it up, fold these bits over, like so. That gets glued here. Ooh. Like that. And then you've got a 3D stand-up shape. Okay, it's pretty simple, and it's always going to work because you've got that big rectangle to make the flaps. Now if you wanted to, you could have them do it double-sided, so they write France again here. Okay, so that's the simplest way to start to get 3D elements for your string map. If you've gone for a 3D shape, it should work the same, where as long as this point is not cut, this bit where it's touching doesn't get cut, you can cut down here. Like this. You can then fold these bits like so, bit of glue, and there you've got your 3D Eiffel Tower. Okay, so again, not super tricky, but quite effective. You've now got a 3D shape, and it won't take a very long time, but you're kind of making an artwork, a sculpture. So you could have something as simple as the word France, or you could have buildings that represent France. The point is, the pupils are going to use these to talk about their journey along a piece of string. Right, so now we're going to have a look at how you would build the story. I think you need 4 or 5 elements to a journey map. And like I said, there would have been a letter that's gone home, so you'd have the information from the pupils. And in the letter, you might actually ask for, could you tell us about 4 or 5 different parts of your family's journey? So I'm going to just guess, I'm going to make up a family's journey. So I'm going to say that they... their journey started in France, and in France they lived there with their parents. These are the kids, and then also grandparents. Obviously the grandparents wear glasses because they're old. These are the little kids. This is mum. There's dad. Okay, so you've got a family there. So they're in France. This is their family living together. Then they fly to London. So I'm going to do a drawing of a plane. Now these don't need to be superb drawings, because really these are sort of like props for the kids to use to retell their story. Right, here's my plane. So this is going to show that they're flying. Then they're flying to London because Dad has a job in IT. So we're going to have a computer. Okay, remember all of these are along this top edge, this forwarded edge. They've all got to touch the top edge. So this is IT. So we know that that's why they've moved. And then we're going to put that it's just the 2 parents and the kids. They're slightly featureless at the moment. So here's mum, here's dad, here's the brother. So they're all there together, and then of course they're in London, so I'm going to do something like the London Eye. Okay, so they can easily draw the different elements of their journey. You could have written the word aeroplane if you need to, because they're just going to use these to help describe a journey. Okay, and there of course you have to add these boxes. These are so important. Big rectangles. It doesn't really matter if they're too big, you just want them to be too small. Alright, so that's pretty much your story map with the different elements ready to be turned into a 3D sculpture. So these are my elements cut out, just as a little reminder of how you can fold them. So what you need to do is just get them so they're folding. I'm kind of doing it like I imagine a kid to do it, so I'm not being super professional. I'm kind of doing it like a kid would, because then you know it's going to work. It's not something that's got to be extremely skillful to get it to work. Okay, so there's a 3D element, the family stood together, okay? And it works really well, really quickly. Okay, so now I've got all of my elements cut out, all 3D, freestanding. You could, like I said, get them to do it double-sided, but I don't think you need to. So let's get in the right order. So we had France, with the whole family living together, grandma and granddad as well. Then we had a flight to Then we had a flight to London because of an IT job where it was just their family. And then I'm going to add this final element, which is the London Eye, so we know where we've ended up. Right, so that's the whole thing, that's the whole journey together. Now to add in a little bit more kind of like movement to it, you can start to use thread, okay? I've got some cotton kind of thread here. Any thread will do, thick rope or whatever, it doesn't really matter, ribbon, whatever you choose. You can add some colour into the project here so it looks really nice. Each pupil can have a little bit and they can start to kind of arrange their elements now. Depending on what you're doing, it could just be that they just lie their thread through these bits. You don't really need to attach it. What you want to start to do is start to get an idea of the journey happening through these things. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of threading going on. They're going to be having to weave things through a little bit. And it normally looks better if you leave a little bit of a kind of wiggle to it, so you can see things happening. So that's the family, then we've got the flight. Flight like this. Then we've got the job in IT that Dad got. Oop. Then we've got the family with Mum and Dad and the kids. And of course we know now that they live, my goodness, that they live in London because we've got the London Eye at the end of the journey. Okay, so that is your string journey map. I think it looks really effective. And the thing that works really well is when you start to have other journeys joining in to the central point here. So what you'll start to get when you've got a class of 25 or 30, you'll start to get a cluster of the London sort of like landmarks here. So the London Eye, Big Ben, my house, a flat, and then all of these other elements start to join in towards this cluster and you end up with a group artwork. So that is the end of that little video.